I think maybe we can start off with like talking about like what I think I could change on my list before the patch. Because like, you know, I'm doing these before it comes out, so some of the things I might be wrong with. Let's see. So if you look at win rates, right? I do think that like I don't think Fiddlesticks is like broken, you know? I think this champ is very strong. So I don't think I'd ever move him up to S+. But I do find like even like when I'm playing Lilia, I do feel like this champ is like really famous. Like not famous, but like I think it's very strong because it's like the same like pattern of just AFK farming, and you just feel strong most of the time. So like if I were to change something, I might put this up here. Like if I was to like I have to have something in S+, because I do find this champ to be like fairly easy to pick up because you just full clear. I think the hardest part about Lilia is definitely how you team fight with her. But I just don't know if I can put her up there because like you remember before Lilia got all those nerfs, then she was like giga f***ing OP, you know? But now I just feel like she's like probably the strongest jungler in the patch, but I don't know if it's like S+, if you know what I mean. And win rate wise, I mean she has a good win rate for sure. But like, I'm not sure. So if I look at the tier list, and I look at the data, and I think of like what I feel is strong, I'm not sure if I would change any of this. Vi also feels OP. I mean, I think Vi is really strong, but like if you look at like the data, right? People don't win on Vi, which I don't really get, but they don't. It's same as Sadrani, they don't win on Sadrani, even though I think that champ is also fine. And Kindred is somehow D tier now. I mean, I do think she feels weaker, but that much weaker? Holy shit. I don't think she's a D tier champ. But I do think I could move her down a little bit, because they nerfed her early game, and they nerfed the item you build on her. So I think I did do a whoopsie there. But generally speaking, I don't think she's like weak. I think it's like you have to have a high mastery on Kindred, and that's why when she's not like really OP, then people start not doing so hot on her, as you can see from the lovely stats. Shyvana definitely took a hit last patch, as you can see here, which I think is good, because I still think the champ is very strong. So I think they actually did a good job with the Shyvana nerfs, and I think we put her in A tier accordingly last time. Is there anything else that we might want to switch around? Why did I put my Gwen? Yeah, I still think Gwen is up here. I do think Gwen is very strong. I personally still think Saryani is a really good champ. I don't want to put her in B tier. I think you could argue that she should be in B tier because you don't really win on her. But then there's the same argument like, oh, you could also put Vi in B tier because people don't win on her. But I do think these champs are very strong. Amumu? I don't think I'd put Amumu in S tier though. I think this champ is very good, but I don't think it's like broken. And I know like this list, right? Like when you look at this, it's S+ and S, but the thing is they put so many champs in S+. Like my S+ is kind of like Thanos. You know, like these champs have to be like 1v9 as like by far, like it's kind of like pick and ban champs. And I don't find right now in this meta, I don't see a champion in jungle that is like perma-banned. I think usually the champs that get banned the most is probably Bel'Veth, honestly. Because people are scared of her early game. Rightfully so, because her early game is like really powerful still. And if you fall behind, it can be hard to come back. My boy Rivershen is down there. I mean, this champ kind of just blows, man. I remember there was some, I don't remember who started it, but someone was like, dude, Shen Jungle is so good. And I don't know why nobody is playing it. And I know exactly why people aren't playing it. Why do you drop Lilia? I dropped Lilia a long time ago. I don't think this champ is like as fan as it used to be, because they nerfed it a lot. Like, can we? So like, early days of season 14, before 14.3, right? Like, look how many nerfs she's gotten since then. AP ratio nerf, AP ratio nerf, AP reduced, healing reduced, base damage reduced, and I believe they also nerfed some of her items or some shit like that. It's like she's taking so many L's, and she's still really strong, but I don't know if I'd consider her Thanos like she used to be. Let's see the changes, right? So Asir is getting a health regen and armor buff. Probably... What is Asir's win rate actually, man? Oh wow, it's really bad. I mean, it's because it's a hard champ to play, right? Okay, let's see. Orianna, Syndra... Okay, here, first jungle thing. Starting health, 25 more. Damage on primary target AP, passive, slightly more. W base damage, slightly more. So that's a nice little buff in Silas, but I don't know if that would put him away from C tier. Because I still feel like Silas Jungle just isn't that great, to be honest. It just isn't. Like, what is Silas Jungle here? Let's see. Like, complete D tier, guys. 44% win rate. So, I don't think we're moving that guy. That might make him like 45.5 or 46% win rate, right? Max. So, I still think that is going to be terrible. So, my Q damage. You get 10 more damage on max range Q. So, that might sound like a good chunk, but it's not that much. It's just like it's low-key just a placebo buff. I don't think that's going to like move her to S tier. I personally think if you play Vi really well, that the champ is really, really strong, right? But for the average player, it's very hard to know when to go and when not to go. And I think that takes a lot of skill and a lot of, you know, learning. So I don't think this will actually change that much for Vi. Like, guys, I think she's still going to be in the same spot. Then we have Skarner buffs. Skarner health up 20, that doesn't really matter too much. Base 80 up and Q bonus 80 ratio up. So these matter. Those do matter. Because the issue I've said with Skarner for a really long time is the fact that for jungle Skarner, his clear is too f***ing shit. Like, he just doesn't farm fast enough. So that's why, like, on my tier list, I have him in C tier. But now because they're buffing his ratios and like 80 damage in general, I think that will like maybe help him a little bit. I still don't think it's gonna be like crazy good, but I think we can justify him being in the B tier now, because I don't think the champ is that great. I don't think the champ is that great. Like, it's either B or A. It's either B or A, but I think B, because I don't really like Skarner that much right now. Like, I played a ton of Skarner earlier when it just came out. We're kind of like one-tricking it even, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel the same, to be honest. But yeah, that's a little bit of a nice buff. I think this is good. Like, they finally realized they have to buff the damage, which, you know, that's good shit. And then we have Wukong. The reason why Wukong is shit right now is because his clear is too slow. Like, he simply just doesn't farm quick enough. So they're doing the passive damage. Wait, why does it say passive damage? The passive gives armor. Does he say something about it? Oh, here. I just realized Wukong has a typo. The changes are passive armor +1 at all levels, stacks up to 6 armor. E attack speed 5% at all ranks. Okay, so these are completely wrong, I guess. So you get 5% more attack speed, and you get more armor. So I think the armor is useless for jungle Wukong, because you're already tanky enough where you don't really take damage. The issue with Wukong's clear is the fact that he farms so slow. So if you're playing Wukong versus any AP jungler, you just fall really far behind. And Wukong is one of those champs that scale really well. It's honestly a really strong team fighter, but the early game is where it's lackluster, right? So like if you look at Wukong, I know it's a B tier, but he has a 48% win rate. And I have him in B tier here because I quite frankly think he farms too slow. But if they're giving him a 5% E attack speed buff, that is actually really nice because it's at all ranks. That's the big thing. Because usually on Wukong jungle, you max Q into W, so you max E third. So because it's E 5% on all ranks, that's actually a really nice buff to Wukong's early clear. So like I think I move him up to A tier, because that is like I'd say like a low-key significant buff, because like Wukong right now it gets 35%, right? So it'd be 40% at first, which is kind of nice. I don't know if it's gonna make him like played a lot, but I think there are definitely matchups in the jungle. For example, like when you're against an AD jungler, like let's look at the OP list, right? Let's say you're against Viego, Hecarim, Kha'Zix, Jabba and Vi, Rek'Sai. Like all these kind of matchups feel fine for Wukong, besides the fact that the other junglers just farm a lot faster. Like a lot of these matchups are actually like fine in like the individual skirmishing and scaling. It's just the fact that, like, for example, if you play against Hecarim, right? The guy's just full clearing 10 times faster than you, so you just automatically fall behind. You're probably still gonna fall behind the Hecarim, but for example, like in Viego matchups, if you just focus a lot on farming, you can probably go at least even. So I'd argue you can put him up in A tier, because I think the Wukong champion itself is actually very strong. It's just the fact that you fall behind the curve. Don't care about mid, don't care about mid. And I say don't care about mid, but we actually have to care a little bit, because as a jungler, all these matter a lot. So like even all the ones I skipped, right? So what is going on right now is Riot is nerfing a lot of the AD mids, and they're buffing a lot of the AP mids. And that is something you have to consider when you're also looking at all the champs that are OP, right? For example, if suddenly the mid meta is no longer AD carries mid, then suddenly champs like Brand will fall out of the meta completely. Because let's say you're playing Brand with a weaker AD mid champ, and the enemy is playing, let's say, like Bel'Veth or Viego with Syndra or something like that, it's just very hard to play. It's just very hard to play. So you have to consider that when you're thinking about your champion picks as well. They just love AP junglers? Yeah, literally though. But they're finally starting to focus a little bit on making AP mids good again, which I think is good. I think we had for too long where it's AP junglers with AD mids. I'd like to have some AP mids with AD junglers. All feel like it's fine playing either style, but right now it feels like AD mids plus AP junglers is just the way to go, right? I think this is good. I think it's good they're buffing some of the AP mid champs, because they're just, quite frankly, a little bit too weak right now. But I don't think that will change. What is Cyrus win rate, by the way? What is Brand's win rate? What if we do like Master Plus? I just want to see if that changes. Yeah, I don't know. I personally, right now, I feel like Brand is just the better Syra. I think I might move the Syra one down. Because I personally think, like, right now, I would just prefer having a Brand than having a Syra. Personally speaking. I don't really see many Syras these days. Let's see, what buffs? So, system Black Cleaver, right? This is something I need to figure out. This is something I have to figure out, because now, the fact that there's no, like, 0.01% on between stacks, that means, like, if you auto attack, and you have like Blade of the Rune King and all this shit at the same time, that would stack the Conqueror really quickly. And I think that's also why, if you look at this, it looks like they're nerfing Blade of the Rune King, right? This looks like nerfs to me. And I think that's because this is a big buff. That's the only thing I can think of, at least. Unless Blade of the Rune King is just overperforming in general. Blade does proc Black Cleaver, right? Or am I tripping right now? It should, right? So for example, for champs that do like Blade into Black Cleaver, that would be like... I mean, what is the Lucian builds right now? I'm pretty sure like one of the biggest Lucian builds is like Blade into... What is that item called? Essence Reaver? Is it called Essence Reaver? Yeah, Blade into Essence Reaver into... Blade Essence Reaver into Black Cleaver. I'm sure there's some kind of shenanigans with this being good with Black... But the thing is, they don't do Conqueror though. But it just stacks the Black Cleaver so quickly, right? That's why I think they're nerfing Blade, because they're just like... That combo, I think, will just be very powerful. Which will also be really good for Viego. It can be very good for champs like Bel'Veth too. Because you can go Blade Rush on Bel'Veth as well. Is there other champs that go the same thing? That might... Because that could like... I mean, depending on how strong it is, I don't know how strong it's gonna be, but that could like... It could like spike a champion, you know? Like the champs that already built the same paths, right? Blade into Black Cleaver. My only thing is... How big of a nerf is this Blade of Rune King? You lose 5 AD and 5% attack speed. But then melee on hit is up by 1%. And I don't really... What is the difference there? Like 1% extra damage on the... What was it on? Melee on hit damage. Okay, how do we find that? Oh, here. Basic attack deals bonus to damage on hit equal to 9% of the target's current health. So it'd be 10% of the... target's current health with a minimum of 15 and a maximum of 100. With a minimum of 15, okay, so 10%. Let's say, how much health should we say someone has? 1500, right? Probably like 1500. Maybe 1k, 1.5k. When do you get Blade of Rune King? Let me think. Like, how much health will people have? Like 1 point something? Let's just say 1.5k just for this. So that's 15 more damage, right? That'd be 15 more damage, like 1% of 1500. So you get 15 damage, let's just say 15 damage, and then you lose 5 AD and 5% attack speed. I wonder how big of a nerf that is, but I think it's actually kind of hard to figure out, because then you also have to think about the fact that now you can stack them quicker, right? Black Cleaver, which is also really good for champs like Wukong. Okay, let's see Black Cleaver, right? So each stack is 6% armor reduction, right? Up to 30% armor reduction. So that's like completely another number we have to think about when it comes to like each auto attack that we're doing on each champion. Because if let's say we auto attack once and it already procs like 2 or 3 stacks on the Black Cleaver, then we're technically removing another 6 to 12% armor reduction, right? Which will then make our auto attacks do more damage. So that's probably why they just like removed 5 AD, because that's probably like, yeah. It should just be a straight up buff for those champs, I think. And then Black Cleaver in general, this is also for Wukong. Wukong is like one of the biggest Black Cleaver users. And they're buffing his attack speed. So he's definitely probably gonna be up here. It's just whether like Viego will be straight up Brogan with Blade into something. And Bel'Veth. Because they can always go Blade for Ruin King, Black Cleaver, right? I'm actually not sure. We were at Blade for Ruin King, so we just finished that. Doran's Blade is getting nerfed. I like that, because as a jungle you never build it, so that's poggers. Good shit, guys. All we do is win, no matter what. Yeah, it's true. Just winning. It's a nice Sunday. Death timers, level 1 to 8 plus 4 seconds, level 9 plus 2 seconds, level 10 unchanged. Death home guards, duration 5 seconds to 8 seconds. Timer starts instantly when leaving fountain. Guys, has anyone done the math on this shit? How much slower do you get back to lane then? Generally speaking, longer death timers, great. I love that. Because I find right now that people don't get punished enough for being dirty inters. There's too much inting in League of Legends right now, and people get away with it, so they just keep doing it. And I think that's like, that's not good. You know what I mean? So I like that. Oh! Okay, so Death Home Guys timer starts instantly, not when leaving fountain now. That's a weird change. That's a weird change. Because let's say like you die, and you need like 10 gold for an item. So when you respawn, right, then you need to wait 10 gold for the item, then you lost your whole home guards. That's weird. I need to get used to that, because I'm one of those people that keep going back and forth in the home, like just waiting around, you know, after dying. So like that's like more punishing if you need a little bit of gold. So I ended here because I don't know if these Blade / Black Cleaver combination will be really powerful, or if it's just like gonna make them like. Because you can build Blade on both of these champions. I will say that for Bel'Veth, usually you want to have Stridebreaker too. So it'd be like Blade into Stridebreaker, and then Black Cleaver. But you can probably do a build without Stridebreaker, because Blade also slows them. But I don't know if Viego will just be like it, just because of that. I don't think that would just like, I don't think that would like put them over the edge of the other champs. So I don't know if there'll be any S+ still. Because I think right now Brad has done a pretty good job of like making nothing like disgusting broken. Why is Black Cleaver buff good for them? Because they can build Blade into Cleaver. And it's champ that built Cleaver anyway. Because what they're doing is they're removing the penalty of Black Cleaver. So like the second you hit them once, everything will like stack on top of itself. So like instantly can proc to 5. We should try some of the... I think today we should play some Bel'Veth and Viego and try the Blade Rush into Black Cleaver and just like try to feel how it feels. Because that will also matter a lot for this. But I don't think like these two things will just make like these champs way better than they are right now. But it could be a buff, right? A nice little juicer. We're almost done. So they're really trying to get 80 mids out of the meta. They're also nerfing, as I said, the Doran's Blade. So like, guys, is it finally time where AP junglers are not Fenris and AD mids are not Fenris? Like, is it time? Are we finally here? Because they're buffing the AP mids, but it's big buffs. This Orianna buff is not that big. This Asir buff is pretty good for lane. This buff is not that big either. This buff is like whatever. Why are we buffing Katarina, by the way? Huh? Just played a away game that was f***ing insane. Nice. Way is fun, man. That's not the weekend game I'm used to? Yes, I'm not used to winning on the weekend. Alright, so for the tier list. As I said, I should probably try to play Viego or Bel'Veth with the Blade of Ruin King build today. And then figure out like how strong that feels. But stats-wise, it looks like Blade has a pretty good win rate on Bel'Veth. My only thing is like, usually I'd go Blade into Stride, and then third on with Cleaver, right? But I kind of just want to like figure out the interaction between the items, if it's like really broken or not. So I might just go like Blade into Cleaver just to feel it. Sweet, just so weird that she just disappeared. It's because Briar in high elo is very weak. Just the sign of the character, like when you're playing against really good players, like they know how to take advantage of you. So like it's kind of like Briar's one of those champs, like the lower elo you are, the better the champ is. That's why like, I mean, let me show you. I'm sure the stats will tell the same story. Hold up. So let's say we do... I don't know if this is gonna be good stats. Okay, so Iron, it has a 53.58% win rate, right? Then if you go Challenger, it has a 43% win rate. Like, it's literally like, the lower elo you go, the better the champ gets, you see? And the higher elo you go, the worse the champ gets, literally. It's just easy to play in low elo because you just click W and just run at them. And you beat people 1v1 like that. But when they start like juking your ability, baiting you, like CC chaining you, like this kind of stuff, then your champ just becomes weak. And that's just like the design of the Briar, which I'm a little bit sad that that's the case because I love playing. I love playing with a variety of champions, and that's why I still like on this account I do play a little bit of Briar here and there. But you know, not enough unfortunately. I don't know how much this changes bot lane. Sorry, mid lane. I don't know how much this changes mid lane because they are nerfing Doran's blade too, but I'm not sure. And I personally, like, I don't know if Viego and Belva would just be like, you know, even stronger because of Blade Black Cleaver. Like, as much as like I think like maybe it's like, did we even change? We didn't even change that much in the tier list. I don't even think they're doing that big changes though, to be fair. I do find like a lot of the AP junglers, if AD mids are not like played as much, like they will not feel as broken, right? So like for example, Lilia, like don't think I'd put her as plus if like there's no AD mids, right? It's kind of like with the AD mids, Lilia is really, really good. So we might just keep her here. And I don't think there's any OP champ in jungle. So I think like what I'm most interested in is like playing Wukong and that kind of stuff with the buffs. Charles in the wrong tier, please fix it. Charles S plus. Yeah. I think we'll probably do it like this for now. Is there something we'd change around? Is the only question. I think these can stay here. We move Skarner one up. Is there anything I'd move to S tier from this list? I don't know. Let's say the meta shifts, right? Like I'm not a mid lane main, so I don't know how much this impacts mid lane AD mids. But let's say there's not that many AD mids anymore. Then what will happen is champs like Vi and Jarvan will be even better. And then they might like go up here eventually. But I just don't know enough to put them up there. Because like they're buffing Vi a little bit, right? But like I think there's like more of a placebo buff. It's not like crazy or anything. So maybe we just keep it like this.